My name is Emily Thompson. I'm 31. 3 weeks before my wedding, at 6:47 in the morning on a Tuesday, my mother called to tell me I needed to change my wedding date because my sister Sophia wanted to extend her Bali vacation to include a 2-week tour through Europe, and the dates conflicted. Emily, this is non-negotiable, my mother said. Her voice had that edge it always got when she was about to make something my problem. Sophia's already booked her flights, first class. She's been planning this for months. I was standing in my kitchen, still in my pajamas, holding a mug of coffee that had gone cold while I listened. Mom, our wedding is September 14th. We sent save the dates 8 months ago. We have 165 confirmed guests. The venue's paid for, the caterer, the photographer, the band. Everything's locked in. So change it to October, she said, like I'd just suggested moving a dentist appointment. November, even. Sophia needs this trip, Emily. She's been under so much stress building her brand. Her brand. I set the mug down carefully because my hands had started shaking. Mom, she's an Instagram influencer. And I have a job coordinating programs for at-risk youth that I can't just abandon for. That's exactly what I mean, my mother interrupted. You're steady, Emily. You'll be fine. Sophia has that spark. She needs to nurture it while she's young and beautiful. You understand, don't you? I understood perfectly. I'd been understanding my entire life. The wedding's September 14th, I said quietly. We're not changing it. There was a long silence. Then my mother's voice turned cold in a way that made my stomach twist. Your father and I have contributed a significant amount to this wedding, Emily. I think that gives us some say in the scheduling. You haven't contributed anything, Mom. Not $1. I've paid for everything myself. I've been saving for 5 years. Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice was silk over steel. Well, I suppose we'll have to reconsider our attendance then. Think very carefully about what you're choosing here. She hung up. I stood there for 3 full minutes, staring at my phone, before I realized I was crying. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. I need to know I'm not alone in this. Let me take you back 7 years to the last time I felt truly safe. It was May 2019, and I was sitting on my grandparents' back porch in their house on Oakmont Drive. My grandmother was 84, dying of pancreatic cancer, but she'd insisted on making her famous lemon chess pie one last time. The whole house smelled like butter and sugar, and the lavender sachets she kept in every drawer. Come here, chickadee, she said, patting the cushion next to her on the porch swing. That's what she always called me, chickadee. I need to tell you something important. I sat down and she took my hand. Her fingers were paper thin, cool to the touch. Your grandfather and we set up a trust fund for you and Sophia. $60,000 each for your weddings, plus another fund to help with your first home. Total of $120,000 for the first grandchild who gets married. Grandma, you didn't have to. Hush now and listen. Her grip tightened. The money's specifically designated in our will. Your parents are trustees until you marry, but they can't touch it for anything else. It's yours, Emily, for your wedding and your future. I put it in writing because... She paused, looked out at the garden where her roses were blooming. Because I know your mother. I know how she is with Sophia. What do you mean? She turned to me, and her eyes were sharp despite the morphine. Sophia has that shine, that easy charm. Your mother sees herself in that. But you, chickadee, you're like your grandfather and me. You're the foundation, and foundations get taken for granted. She squeezed my hand. Don't let them take you for granted. Promise me. I promise, Grandma. The trust documents are with our lawyer, Bernard Hastings. His office is on Westfield Avenue. Remember that name? Bernard Hastings. If anything ever happens, you go to him, you hear me? I nodded, not really understanding why she sounded so urgent. She died 3 weeks later. At the funeral, my mother cried theatrically while Sophia posted Instagram stories about family loss, with perfectly filtered photos of herself looking beautiful in black. I stood there dry-eyed, holding my grandfather's hand, missing the smell of lavender and lemon pie so badly I couldn't breathe. My grandfather died 6 months after that, heart attack. The lawyer said it was like he just decided he was done without her. I was 24 years old, working entry level at the youth mentorship nonprofit, and suddenly my parents were in charge of $120,000 that was supposed to be mine. "We'll keep it safe," my father said at the reading of the will. "Invested properly. You'll have it when you need it." I believed him. I had no reason not to. For 5 years, I saved every extra dollar I could. I lived in a tiny studio apartment with a radiator that clanked all winter and a neighbor who practiced drums at 2 a.m. I brought lunch from home every single day. Pasta salads I made on Sundays, sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. I picked up extra weekend workshops at the nonprofit, ran evening sessions with teenagers who reminded me so much of myself at that age. Kids who felt invisible in their own families. My savings account grew slowly. $200 one month, $450 the next. Over 5 years, I saved $52,000. When James proposed on New Year's Eve last year, I cried. Not just because I loved him, though I did desperately, but because I finally felt like I was building something that was mine, a family that would choose me first. We set the date, September 14th, 2026. We booked the Parthenon at Centennial Park in Nashville. Grand ballroom, marble columns, space for 165 guests. It cost $8,400 just for the venue. In January, I called my parents to tell them about the trust fund my grandparents had left for my wedding. "Oh, sweetie," my mother said, in that particular tone that meant she was about to tell me something I wouldn't like. "We had to use some of that money." My heart stopped. "What?" "Well, Sophia needed funding for her content creation. New camera equipment, editing software, that trip to Bali for the Tropical Lifestyle series. It's an investment in her future, really. But don't worry, we put it down as an advance distribution. She'll pay it back eventually." "How much did you take?" "Just $30,000. Maybe $35,000. I'd have to check the records." Just the word hung there like a slap. "That money was specifically designated for my wedding in Grandma and Grandpa's will," I said slowly. "You're the trustee. You can't just—" "Emily, don't be dramatic. You have your savings. And honestly, you're choosing a very expensive venue for someone in your income bracket." "The Parthenon? Really?" "Sophia suggested a lovely barn venue that would be half the price." "I don't want a barn venue. I want what Grandma and Grandpa left me." "Well, you should have gotten married sooner then." My mother's voice turned sharp. "Sophia needs support right now. She's building something special. You have a steady job, you'll be fine." There it was again. Steady. The word she'd been using my entire life to mean boring, expendable, less than. "I need to see the trust documents," I said. "And the account statements." "I don't appreciate your tone, Emily. We're your parents. We've always done what's best for this family." And she hung up before I could respond. That night, I lay in bed next to James, staring at the ceiling. "They took the money," I whispered. "At least $30,000, maybe more, for Sophia's Instagram career." James sat up. "Can they do that? Legally?" "I don't know. My grandmother said something about a lawyer, Bernard Hastings. But that was 7 years ago. I don't even know if he's still practicing." "We'll figure it out," James said, pulling me close. "We'll make this wedding happen either way, even if we have to do it in our living room." I almost laughed, but I didn't, because a small, cold part of me was starting to wonder how much else my parents had taken that I didn't know about. I kept planning the wedding, booked the caterer, $6,200 for past appetizers and a 3-course dinner, hired the photographer, $3,800, ordered invitations, paid the deposit on flowers, secured the band. Every dollar came from my savings account, watching the balance drop week by week, $47,000, $41,500, $36,200. My parents didn't offer to help. Not once. In March, Sophia called me. Em, I have amazing news. I got a brand partnership with a luxury travel company. They're sending me to Bali for 2 weeks, all expenses paid. Well, almost all expenses. Mom and Dad are helping with the first-class flights and the five-star resort. That's great, Soph, I said, meaning none of it. The thing is, the dates are flexible, and I want to extend it through Europe after Paris, Positano, Barcelona. It'll be incredible content, but it overlaps with your wedding date. My chest tightened. The wedding's September 14th. We sent save the dates. I know, but couldn't you just move it? Like to October? Then I could come back and everyone wins. No, Sophia, I can't just move it. We have signed contracts. Her voice changed, became petulant. Emily, you're being really selfish about this. This is a huge opportunity for my career. Your wedding is one day. My brand is forever. Then I guess you'll miss the wedding. She gasped like I'd physically struck her. I can't believe you're choosing a date over your sister. Mom said you'd gotten difficult, but I didn't believe her until now. She hung up. 2 days later, my father called. It was 8:15 at night. I was at my desk working on a grant proposal for the nonprofit's summer program. Emily, your mother is very upset, he said. No preamble. Sophia is heartbroken. You need to apologize and change your wedding date. Dad, I'm not changing the date. The contracts are signed. We've paid thousands in deposits. Then you're being unreasonable. Sophia has worked hard for this opportunity. The least you could do is support her. I've worked hard too, I said, my voice rising despite my best efforts. I've been working with at-risk teenagers for 7 years. I've saved every penny for this wedding while you and Mom funded Sophia's influencer lifestyle. I'm not asking you for anything. Just don't ask me to move my wedding. Your grandmother would be ashamed of this selfishness, my father said, and his voice was cold enough to freeze blood. She always said family comes first. Apparently, you've forgotten that. He hung up. I sat at my desk, shaking. My grandmother's voice echoed in my head. Don't let them take you for granted. But how do you stop people who've been taking for granted your entire life? In April, I found the first clue that something was very, very wrong. I was cleaning out a box of old papers from my grandparents' house, things I'd taken after my grandfather died but never sorted through. Receipts, old birthday cards, a recipe for lavender scones in my grandmother's handwriting. At the bottom, I found a sealed envelope with my name on it in my grandmother's distinctive script. Emily, open if you ever need to remember. Inside was a single piece of paper. A photocopy of the trust fund document dated 2018, highlighted in yellow. $120,000 to Emily Thompson for wedding and first marital home establishment. Funds to be held by trustees Robert and Susan Thompson until marriage. Trustees may not withdraw or redirect funds for any other purpose or beneficiary. Paper clipped to it was a sticky note, also in my grandmother's handwriting. Chickadee, I've given Bernard Hastings the originals. If your mother tries anything, you tell him. He knows. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the page. If your mother tries anything. My grandmother had known. 7 years ago, dying in that house on Oakmont Drive, she'd known exactly what my mother would do. I pulled out my laptop and searched for Bernard Hastings. His law office was still on Westfield Avenue, still open. I dialed the number with trembling fingers. Hastings and Associates, a receptionist answered. Hi, my name is Emily Thompson. My grandparents, Eleanor and Robert Thompson, they were clients of Mr. Hastings. They passed away in 2019, and I need to speak with him about their estate. One moment, please. The hold music was classical, something soothing that did nothing to slow my racing heart. Emily Thompson? A man's voice, older, kind. I'm Bernard Hastings. I've been waiting for you to call. Those words hit me like ice water. Waiting for me? Your grandmother left very specific instructions. She said you'd need my help eventually. Can you come to my office tomorrow? 2 o'clock? Yes, yes, I'll be there. Bring the photocopy she left you. And Emily? Don't tell your parents you've contacted me. Not yet. I promised I wouldn't. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept reading that sticky note over and over. If your mother tries anything. What had my mother already tried? The next day at 2 p.m., I walked into Hastings and Associates. The office was old-fashioned, all dark wood and leather chairs, with windows that overlooked a small park. Bernard Hastings was in his 70s, with kind eyes and careful hands that shuffled papers like they were precious things. Your grandmother was a remarkable woman, he said, gesturing for me to sit. She came to me in early 2018, about a year before she died. Said she needed to protect you from your own parents. Protect me how? He opened a file folder, thick with documents. She and your grandfather created the trust fund with very specific language. Your parents are trustees, but they have no authority to withdraw funds except to pay directly for wedding expenses on your behalf. They certainly can't transfer money to your sister or use it for anything else. But they did. I pulled out my phone, showed him the text thread from January where my mother had admitted taking $30,000 for Sophia's content creation. Bernard's jaw tightened. That's breach of fiduciary duty, possibly fraud. Can we get it back? We can try. But Emily, I need to show you something else. He pulled out a stack of bank statements. Your grandmother gave me authority to monitor the trust account. I've been watching it for 7 years. In February, your parents withdrew $80,000. The room tilted. 80,000? They transferred it to a personal account in your sister's name. The memo line says advance wedding distribution. But Sophia isn't even engaged. Exactly. Bernard slid another document across the desk. And 3 weeks ago, someone from your parents' email address sent these to your wedding venue coordinator. I picked up the papers. They were emails. 3 of them. Subject: urgent. Emily Thompson. Wedding cancellation. We need to cancel or move the September 14th event. Family emergency. Please call immediately. Subject: change of date request. The bride's family would like to reschedule to October 19th or later. What dates are available? Subject: contract terms. What is the cancellation penalty? We need to understand our options. I read them twice, 3 times. The words didn't change. My parents had tried to cancel my wedding behind my back. The venue coordinator was smart, Bernard said. She responded that only the bride or groom could make changes to the contract. She forwarded me copies as a courtesy because your grandmother had listed me as a secondary contact years ago when she first gave you my information. She'd updated it herself in her final months. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed completely. There's more. Bernard pulled out a credit card statement. After you refused to change the date, your parents paid $15,500 for your sister's flight upgrade to first class and a 5-star hotel extension in Europe. The charge posted on March 30th, 5 days after your sister called to ask you to move the wedding. They told me they had no money, I whispered. They said I was being expensive and unreasonable. They have plenty of money, they just don't want to spend it on you. Bernard's voice was gentle but firm. Your grandmother predicted all of this, Emily. She made me promise to wait until you came to me, to let you figure it out yourself first. She said you needed to be the one to choose to fight back. I don't want to fight. They're my parents. They're also thieves. He tapped the trust documents. This money is legally yours. Your grandmother worked for 30 years as a bookkeeper to save it. She wanted you to have a beautiful wedding and a strong start in your marriage. She loved you, Emily. That love is still protecting you, even now. I started crying then. Not quiet, polite tears, but huge, shaking sobs that made my chest hurt. Bernard handed me tissues and waited patiently until I could breathe again. "What do I do?" I asked. "You get married on September 14th exactly as planned, and you let me handle the rest." I left his office with copies of everything: bank statements, email evidence, the original trust documents. And one more thing: a sealed letter my grandmother had left with Bernard 7 years ago. "She said to give this to you when the time was right," Bernard explained. "I think the time is right." I didn't open it until I got home. James was at work. I sat on our couch, the one we'd bought together at a thrift store, and reupholstered ourselves, and carefully broke the seal. The envelope smelled faintly of lavender. "Dear Chickadee, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. And your mother is doing exactly what I knew she would do. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I tried to talk to her so many times over the years, tried to make her see how special you are. But Susan only sees what she wants to see. And what she wants is for Sophia to be the star. I need you to understand something. This isn't about money. It's about worth. Your mother has spent your whole life teaching you that you're worth less, less attention, less money, less love. She's wrong. You are worth everything. You're the one who shows up. You're the one who does the work. You're the foundation, and foundations hold up the whole world." The original trust documents are with Bernard Hastings. His office is at 427 Westfield Avenue, Suite 12. He has copies of everything: the will, the trust agreement, and proof that I opened that account specifically for you in 2017, before I got sick. I named you as the sole beneficiary for the first marriage fund. Your parents can't touch it for anyone else. I've also left Bernard these items: bank statements showing every deposit I made from 2012 to 2018, letters I wrote documenting your mother's favoritism and my concerns, a recording of the conversation where I told your parents they were trustees only, with no discretion, a second trust fund that your mother doesn't know about, $25,000 in your name alone, for emergencies. Don't tell her. Don't tell your father. Wait until you need it. Chickadee, you are not steady because you're boring. You're steady because you're strong. You're the kind of person who keeps promises, who shows up for teenagers who have nothing, who saves for 5 years because you believe in building something real. That's not less than sparkle. That's better than sparkle. That's substance. Get married on the day you choose. Live in a house you make a home. And don't let anyone, not your mother, not anyone, tell you you're not enough. You're everything. All my love, Grandma Eleanor. P.S. Tell Bernard the password is Chickadee. He'll know what to do. I read it 4 times. Then I folded it carefully, put it back in the envelope, and called James. "Come home," I said. "I need to show you something." That night, we sat together reading every document Bernard had given me. The evidence was overwhelming. The $80,000 transferred to Sophia 5 days before my parents demanded I change the date. The emails trying to cancel the venue. The credit card charges for Sophia's luxury vacation. The original trust language that made everything they'd done illegal. "They tried to sabotage your wedding," James said, his voice hollow with disbelief. "Your own parents. And they took $95,500 total, plus they tried to trick the venue into canceling our contract." "What do you want to do?" I looked at my grandmother's letter, still smelling faintly of lavender after all these years. "I want to get married on September 14th, and I want everyone to know the truth." "Are you sure? Emily, this could destroy your relationship with them." "They already destroyed it," I said quietly. "I just didn't want to see it." The next month passed in a strange haze. My parents didn't call. My sister posted photos from Bali: pristine beaches, infinity pools, elaborately plated breakfasts, all tagged hashtag living my best life, hashtag blessed and grateful. Each photo had thousands of likes. I kept working at the nonprofit, kept meeting with teenagers who reminded me what it meant to survive. One girl, Maya, was 16 and living in a group home because her mother had chosen her boyfriend over her daughter. How do you trust people after that? Maya asked me one day. You learn to trust yourself first, I said. You learn that you were never the problem. She looked at me like I'd handed her a key to a locked door. 2 weeks before the wedding, my mother called. It was 10:07 at night. Emily, I think we need to talk. About what, Mom? About you being stubborn and selfish. Your father and I have decided we won't be attending your wedding unless you apologize to Sophia for making her miss it. I waited. Let the silence stretch. Did you hear me? My mother demanded. We won't be there. I heard you. And? And nothing. I'll miss you, but I understand. My voice was calm, steady in a way that had nothing to do with being boring. The wedding is September 14th at 7 p.m. If you change your mind, there are seats for you. You're really going to do this? Choose a date over your family? I'm choosing the family I'm building, the one that doesn't require me to shrink, she gasped. I have sacrificed everything for you girls. You've sacrificed nothing for me, Mom. Not time, not money, not attention. You sacrificed me, for Sophia, and I'm done pretending I don't notice. Your grandmother would be proud of me. She told me in a letter. She saw exactly what you are. Silence. Then, you'll regret this, Emily. No, I said. I really won't. She hung up. I sat there feeling lighter than I had in years. September 14th arrived like a gift. The weather was perfect. 72 degrees, clear sky, that particular golden light that makes everything look like a memory. The Parthenon looked like something out of a dream, all marble columns and soaring ceilings, with flowers everywhere, white roses and lavender. I'd made sure there was lavender. My parents didn't show up for the ceremony. Their seats in the front row stayed empty. My Aunt Sarah sat in one. James's mother sat in the other. When the officiant asked who gave me away, my aunt stood and said, "She gives herself, and we receive her with joy." I didn't cry during the ceremony. I felt too present, too solid. At the reception, 165 people filled the grand ballroom. String lights and candles, a band playing jazz, tables covered in linen and more roses and lavender. Everyone I loved, all in one room. At 8:15 p.m., during the speeches, the ballroom doors opened. My parents walked in. My mother was wearing a cream dress, almost white, which you're not supposed to do at weddings. My father had his hand on her elbow. Sophia trailed behind them in a tight gold gown, phone in hand, already recording. The room went silent. They walked straight to the center of the dance floor, not to their table, not to me, just to the middle of the room where everyone could see them. Emily, my father said, his voice carrying across the silence, your mother and I need to speak with you. I stood up slowly from the head table. James reached for my hand, but I shook my head. I've got this. I walked toward them, calm, steady. Emily, your mother and I are leaving, my father announced, loud enough for everyone to hear. Think about what you've done to this family. We won't be part of this mistake. What mistake? I asked quietly. Getting married? Refusing to accommodate your sister. Choosing strangers. He gestured at the room full of guests. Over your own blood. I didn't choose strangers, Dad. I chose people who show up. There's a difference. My mother's face crumpled theatrically. How can you be so cruel, after everything we've done for you? What have you done for me? I asked. Specifically, name one thing, she blinked, genuinely confused by the question. We raised you. We gave you a home. You did the legal minimum, I said, and then you stole from me. We didn't steal, my father started. Yes, you did. James appeared at my side. He had a laptop. Without a word, he walked to the A/V booth where the DJ was stationed. A moment later, the giant projection screen behind the head table flickered on. Everyone turned to look. The first slide appeared. The Price of Humility, a Financial Analysis. My parents' faces changed, color drained. My mother's mouth opened. "What is this?" my father demanded. "The truth," I said simply, "which you've been avoiding." James clicked to the next slide. It showed a scan of my grandparents' trust document, the relevant section highlighted. $120,000 to Emily Thompson for wedding and first marital home. Trustees Robert and Susan Thompson may not withdraw or redirect funds for any purpose other than Emily Thompson's wedding expenses. "That's private," my mother hissed. "It's my trust fund," I said. "My grandmother left it to me. You were supposed to protect it." Next slide. Bank statement showing $80,000 transfer to Sophia Thompson, dated February 18th, 2026. Memo. Advance wedding distribution. Gasps rippled through the room. Sophia was staring at the screen, her face frozen. "Sophia isn't engaged," I said to the room. "That money wasn't an advance, it was theft." Next slide. 3 emails from my parents' address to the venue coordinator, trying to cancel or move my wedding without my knowledge. My Aunt Sarah stood up. "Susan, you tried to cancel her wedding?" "It was a misunderstanding," my mother started. "No," I said firmly. "It was sabotage." Next slide. Credit card statement showing $15,500 charge for Bali Luxury Resort Extension Plus, first-class flights, Europe. Date: March 30th, 2026. James clicked to the next slide. It was a text message thread, my mother's words in gray. "We have no money to help with the wedding, Emily. You're being very expensive." The timestamp was March 31st, 2026. One day after the $15,500 charge, the room was dead silent. You could have heard a champagne flute clink 3 tables away. Next slide. Photos from Sophia's Instagram, infinity pool in Bali, first-class flatbed with champagne, sunset in Positano. Each photo tagged with the date, all during my parents' "we have no money" period. My cousin David stood up. "So you told Emily you couldn't afford to help with her wedding while you were funding Sophia's European vacation with Emily's own trust fund money?" "It's not like that," Sophia said desperately. "I work hard for my content. I needed—" "You needed money our grandmother left for Emily's wedding," my Aunt Sarah said coldly. "You needed to steal from your sister." Next slide. A page from my grandmother's will in her own handwriting. "I leave this trust to Emily because she is the steady one. She will build something real. She will love deeply and work hard and never take the easy road. Susan will try to give it all to Sophia. I know my daughter, but Emily must have what I promised her." My mother made a sound like a wounded animal. The final slide appeared. It was a photograph of my grandmother's letter to me, the last paragraph blown up large enough for everyone to read. "You are not steady because you're boring. You're steady because you're strong. Don't let anyone tell you you're not enough. You're everything." I looked at my parents. My mother was crying. Real tears now, not performed ones. My father's face had gone gray. Sophia was staring at her phone like it could save her. "I didn't bring this out for revenge," I said quietly, looking at the 165 faces watching us. "I brought it out because I'm done pretending. My grandmother left me that money because she loved me, and she saw what my parents never did. That being steady, being someone who shows up and keeps promises and does the work, that's not less than being sparkly. It's more." I turned to my parents. "You spent my whole life teaching me I was worth less. Less attention, less money, less love. You took the money my grandmother saved for 30 years because you thought Sophia deserved it more. You tried to sabotage my wedding because I wouldn't rearrange my life around her vacation." My voice was steady, calm. "But here's what you never understood. My worth isn't determined by how much you value me. My worth is determined by what I build, who I love, how I show up." I gestured to the room full of people. Every person here chose to be here tonight. They took time off work, they traveled, they brought gifts. They're celebrating with me because I matter to them, not because I sparkle, because I'm steady, because when they need me, I show up. I looked at my parents one more time. You can leave now. I have a wedding to celebrate. My mother reached for me. Emily, please. No. I stepped back. I'm done being the daughter you can take for granted. I'm done shrinking so Sophia can shine. I'm done. My father's voice was thin, broken. What about the money? What are you going to do? My attorney, Bernard Hastings, will contact you next week about returning the $95,500 you took illegally. You'll either return it voluntarily or we'll pursue legal action for breach of fiduciary duty. I said it matter-of-factly, like I was discussing the weather. My grandmother prepared for this. She left evidence. She protected me even after she was gone. I turned and walked back to the head table. James was grinning, his eyes wet. My Aunt Sarah was wiping tears. Around the room, people were standing up, starting to clap. My parents stood frozen in the center of the dance floor. Sophia looked like she wanted to disappear into her phone. After a long, terrible moment, they turned and left. The ballroom doors closed behind them. The band started playing again. Jazz. Something light and joyful. People came up to me in waves, hugging, crying, telling me stories about their own families, their own moments of finally saying no. My Aunt Sarah squeezed my hand. Your grandmother would be so proud. I know, I said. And I did know. I could feel it, warm and certain, like lavender and lemon pie and promises kept across years. We danced until midnight. We ate cake. We celebrated. And every time I caught sight of the empty chairs where my parents should have been, I felt nothing but relief. 3 weeks later, Bernard Hastings called. Your parents' attorney contacted me. They're returning the full $95,500 plus interest. They've also resigned as trustees and transferred control of the remaining trust to you directly. Why would they do that? I asked. I thought they'd fight. Because 47 people at your wedding personally contacted them to express their disgust, including your father's boss, his golf partner, and 3 members of your mother's book club. Your cousin David posted the PowerPoint slides online. They've been seen by 200,000 people. Your parents can either return the money quietly or become infamous for stealing from their own daughter. Oh. Also, Bernard added gently, your grandmother's second trust fund, the $25,000 she set aside for emergencies, it's yours now. She wanted you to use it for whatever brings you joy. I used it for a honeymoon to Scotland. James had always wanted to see the Highlands. We stayed in small bed and breakfasts, drank whiskey by fireplaces, hiked through rain and mist. I felt light in a way I'd never experienced before, like I'd set down a weight I'd been carrying since childhood. One morning, standing on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic, James asked, do you regret it? The way everything happened? I thought about my grandmother's letter, about being steady, about foundations holding up the world. No, I said. I regret waiting so long to see what she saw. 6 months later, I used the returned trust money for the down payment on our first house. It's a small craftsman on the east side of town, with a garden that gets morning sun and a porch perfect for a swing. I planted lavender in the front bed. I still work at the nonprofit, still meet with teenagers who need to hear that being overlooked doesn't mean being worthless. Maya graduated from high school last month, full scholarship to State University. She hugged me so hard at her graduation party that I couldn't breathe. You taught me I don't have to make myself small, she whispered. No, I said. You taught yourself. I just witnessed it. My parents and I haven't spoken since the wedding. Sophia blocked me on Instagram. Sometimes I miss the family I thought I had, but I don't miss the person I had to be to keep them. My Aunt Sarah comes over every Sunday for dinner. She knew, she told me once. She knew what my parents were doing all along but didn't know how to help without making it worse. I should have done more, she said. Your grandmother did. She made sure you'd have what you needed, even from beyond the grave. Last month, I visited my grandparents' graves, brought lavender from my garden, sat on the grass between their headstones, and read them my grandmother's letter out loud, even though I had it memorized by heart. Thank you, Grandma, I said to the quiet, for seeing me, for preparing, for loving me enough to reach forward through time. The wind moved through the trees. It smelled like lavender and rain and something I can only describe as peace. If you're watching this, I want you to understand something. Silence isn't peace. Silence is the price you pay for someone else's comfort. And you don't owe anyone your silence, especially not about your own worth. If you've ever had to walk away from someone you love to protect yourself, type "I walked away" in the comments. Or if you chose to stay and fight for your boundaries, type "I stayed and fought." Both are brave, both are valid. Both mean you finally understood what my grandmother tried to teach me. Your worth isn't negotiable. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. Happy wedding season to anyone celebrating love this year. The kind of love that shows up, that keeps promises, that builds foundations instead of tearing them down.